Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Sports. It's the best day of the week. Boys and girls, it's Wednesday, High Top Wednesday, with a jam-packed show for you guys today. We've got, of course, Swolder. Then we've got Allie Peak. She'll be on, and then we'll obviously get to Steve and Chad to do our pick'ems, talk Urban Meyer. Coming back to coach a little bit. It's going to be a go. Make sure you buckle up, sit tight, smash the like button, subscribe if you're brand new here, on the way to 18,000 subs. So hop aboard. Without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce the co-host currently for the evening, standing at 4'9", 296 pounds. David Swolderquist. What's going on, big dog? How you doing?
Oh man, this past weekend didn't go the way that we wanted to. But guess what? You know, you can't never get rid of Wednesday, the best night of the week. Everybody at High Top, let's get it. Let's go.
You know, we talked last week how this day connects the Saturdays together. We're just trying to keep the blood pumping from this week to last week. It's been hell of a last 3 days here. It's been a long 3 days on the Twitter timeline. The civil war that has sprung out between Gator Nation, it's been a rough one. So we're gonna talk a lot about it. But of course, let's go ahead and dive into our other co-host for the evening, Miss Allie Peak. Allie Peak.
Hey guys, how are ya?
We're doing well. We're hanging in there. I think you've taken a few shots over the bow this weekend as well on Twitter. You were telling us pre-cash you were sunshine pumper, hater. Where did you decide that you wanted to be coming on the show today? You going to be a Disney Gator? Where are you at? I know you haven't made your mind up yet.
You know, I haven't made my mind up. We'll see how the night goes. But, I mean, I guess it's good to be hated equally, right? Like, there's some parody going on social media, so that's a win.
Well, if you need a Disney Gator, I got one for you. You know, we got plenty to go around, so just let us know what you need. So, look, I don't want to, you know, it's hard to not talk about last week and kind of where everybody's head's at. It feels like we should move on, but it is the big topic right now, the topic of discussion of Billy Napier, calling plays, you know, just the overall feeling of Gator Nation. So that's kind of what we're going to start with, just a temp check. I want to know where you're at, where your head's at with Billy Napier, with the pulse of the program, him continue to keep, you know, calling plays. Are you cool with that, or you just want to see things play out? Like, where are we at now with this?
You know, honestly, this week aside and all the emotions that have happened with it, I think we're about where we figured we would be. Leading into the Kentucky game that week, I did predict that Florida would win. But in our preview show that we did over the summer, I predicted we'd lose to Kentucky. So I don't know that we went 1-1 between Tennessee and Kentucky. I don't know that that's really off pace from where we need to be. I think what the problem is, though, is how we lost. I think if Florida had gone punch for punch with Kentucky and lost, we would be having a very different conversation at this moment. I think it's the fact that we just looked lost. The offense couldn't get a single thing going. Even the defense looked poor. It was the way we lost. It's not that we lost. And as far as Napier calling plays, there's not a whole lot of options right now, midseason. I would love if he got some input from Billy Gonzalez, got some input from Callaway, and maybe more input will happen as this season goes on. Maybe tons is going on right now and we don't know about it. I don't know. But there's not a whole lot of movement that's possible unless he's going to be like, all right, Russ, throw a headset on, you know, here we go. Let's you try your hand, call some plays. So I'm not that surprised that a move didn't happen mid-season.
Sure, and I think you nailed on the head. I've been preaching that as well, too. It's not the fact that we lost. I think losing's part of the game. If you get beat, you get beat. And I think Kentucky is a great team, and I kept prefacing that, too. Again, it's just you just look like you don't want to be there. We had Stephen Harris on. I don't know if you were able to see that breakdown, but him breaking down that very first play of Montrell not running through the tackle, and then Kimber just breaking down, and that we're talking the first 5 minutes of the football game and just zero energy. Right. That is very concerning. It's very alarming, right? And that's where I'm at. I think I kind of judged it on a bar today. You've got three tiers of this. Tier 1 would be, let's say, the Disney Gator, who was fully bought on Billy. Tier 2 was, I need to see more. I want to believe, but I'm gun shy. Tier 3 is just they've hated him since the beginning, and you never had a chance. Tier 3's got a lot full sin. Those Tier 2s tilted over. I think the Tier 1 camp has shrunk to very little, and a lot of people are on that Tier 2, and I've got to find myself in that Tier 2 now of what you're telling me is not what I'm seeing anymore. That's where I'm starting to lose my patience. You just said 2 weeks ago, this team isn't the same as last year, where we're going to dip down and come back up. But this is exactly what we did. We lost momentum.
I almost think he needs like a PR coach before he goes out and does these press conferences, because you can't say the same things over and over again, but the result is not changing, and then expect that people are going to be happy with the words coming out of your mouth. Like, I would love it if he got up there and was like, we suck. We got to go back this weekend and see who we have in this locker room that wants to play, because what we saw on Saturday, that's not it. It's not good enough for you guys, not good enough for us. We want more. We're going to keep working. We are going to do better. And and then go back to work and do that. Like, this team was probably going to win 7 games max this season regardless, but they look unprepared. They look lost. And then you have a head coach standing there telling you, well, you didn't ask these questions when we won. Well, you didn't. Like, that irritates the fans. They want somebody who is agreeing with them. You're right. This sucks. We don't want this to happen any more than you do. And every person in that locker room, every coach on that staff wants to win. So, those fans that say like they don't even want it or they don't look like they care. Of course they care. Their jobs are on the line. This is their NFL futures are here, their scholarships, all of these things. Of course they want to win. But whatever they're doing isn't working, and they're not actually giving the appearance that they're going back to the drawing board and trying something different. They look like they're trying the same thing over and over again and getting the same results. And we know, what they call that. That would be insanity. So I think what Napier needs to do, this is the offensive scheme he wants to run, and that's fine. But you currently don't have the players to do that. So figure out what you can run with the players you have as you slowly transition to what you want to be over the next couple of years. Because otherwise, you're not going to end up having a job by the time the players are in place at the University of Florida.
Yep.
What are your thoughts, Dave, man?
Yeah, I mean, everything that she said just took the words out of my mouth. I mean, you go into these press conferences, especially Utah, you got punched in the mouth at the beginning of the year. You said the team was not prepared, and I should prepare them better for each game. Then you go into the Kentucky game, and then he goes in the press conference, nearly says the same thing. And I'm like, okay, well, you get paid millions of dollars to make sure that this team is prepared on game day, and you're not doing that. So that's a coaching issue, and that's an issue with yourself. Not a lot of fans are going to want to hear that every single press conference saying this team is unprepared, because that is your job. I mean, Ray Davis, he rushed 280 yards. I mean, Ball State held him to 112. Eastern Kentucky held him to 52. Akron held him to 72. Vanderbilt held him to 78. And you let him rush 280 yards on a defense that was only missing 24 missed tackles and then had 17 this game. I mean, to me, when I looked at that game, I always say that a defense is predicated on its missed tackles. You can basically gauge how good a defense is when you look at their missed tackle rate. When you miss 17 tackles a game, you're not going to win a lot of football games. You're going to give up a lot of points. And this team was playing good defense until then, and the offense just still looks stagnant. I mean, like, we're running the same basic plays. We're not trying anything different. And I remember Billy Napier even talking, I think in a 1010 XL interview, talking about, oh, well, there's a lot of things on this team that a lot of people don't know about. Well, it's been 5 weeks and we haven't seen anything at all. So where's the play? Where's these concepts? Where are these big pass plays? Yeah, and I love Shane Matthews to death, and I'm not gonna insult him on this show, and I never would, because I love him to death. But he wants Graham Mertz to throw the football a lot, and I get that. I want him to throw the football a lot more too, because the more you throw the football, obviously, the more points you're going to put up. You can't throw the football if your quarterback's getting pressure just about every single play that he drops back, and he's got a defensive lineman on him, so it's hard to do that. So you're going to have to play better offensive line first. I don't know what you do with that offensive line right now, because right now, I mean, you had maybe 4 good quarters against Tennessee with this offensive line, and then that's it. So, I mean, there's just got to be a lot of questions answered. And you look at it and I don't know, man. I don't have the answers, but that's what you get paid. You get paid all that money for the answers to this football team. And right now we're just not seeing it. Hopefully, obviously we'll talk about Vanderbilt later. This is a team you should beat. But I have no answers, man. And I literally would like to see something different when the team goes to the field Saturday, something different to give us some kind of hope that maybe this offense is progressing.
Even if whatever the something different isn't successful, at least they tried it. And I think that's the most frustrating part. Like, try anything different, anything, because what you're doing is currently not working. And now we've looked at 5 weeks of that. And truly, if we're going to look at Tennessee, we've had 2 great offensive quarters against Tennessee, because they weren't even good the second half. And at the time, we chalked that up to him calling the game too conservatively, which he owned in the post-game press conference. But I mean, is this who Billy Napier's offense is? And if it is, where do we go from here?
If we could just have a baby and have Muschamp's defense alongside Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitt's offense, I mean, what it could be? It's just a boy's dream. But I think you guys kind of nailed it too. With at least there's some cohesive here where we're all kind of in the same boat of we're just frustrated. And on Saturday it was at the point I wasn't even mad anymore. I was just disappointed. I was just like, again, you feel like it's right there. You've been hearing all the right things. Allegedly, you hear about all the details going into preparing for these games and what they did on the offseason. And even talking with the players, they're excited, they're bought in, they're motivated. And even seeing the reactions on Twitter, you think that, look, things are still moving in the right direction. I had a little rant on Monday about him being in over his head. And I kind of want to get your thoughts on that too, because what I prefaced to was he managed, and some people kind of came back, well, he coached 4 and 5 stars at Clemson, but he's never been the head coach with 4 and 5 stars. When he was the head coach at Louisiana, he was working with 1, 2, and 3 stars. His system works there. His very clean program, that works for 2 and 3 star guys. But when you get into this 4 and 5 star elite talent, this is where I realized maybe he is over his head because he's giving these guys very easy. He's giving them 2nd and 3rd grade math problems, and they need high school level, right? Like obviously not little G, but that's where their head's at. It's like, look, they're gobbling up this math problem that you're giving to them, and they're getting complacent. And that's how it feels going onto the football field. And he just may not have the will. How he's probably a great CEO. I think he has a great foundation. I think he's put in the right place. I think his idea is good. He keeps talking about execution. Billy, you need to execute. You need to surround yourself with people that can execute the idea that you have up here. You just can't do it all.
Well, the problem is that if everyone is routinely not executing, then you need to give them something different. At some point when it's that repetitive, it's on the coach, not on the players. You're either not relaying the message to them correctly. It's a message they cannot receive. Like there's something wrong there. I think Billy Napier is a great CEO. I think very few successful head coaches call their own plays. Obviously, there are a few, but it is not the norm per se. I don't think it is a sign of weakness to not call your plays when you are the head coach. Did you want to be an offensive coordinator or did you want to be a head coach? Like you made it pretty clear you wanted to be a head coach. So do that. You can't wear so many hats. And you sit up there and you preach accountability and you preach the details. And then we're 5 games into the season and we're sending 13 men onto the field for a goal line stand, which by the way, he still scored. That is not congruent to me, and it's the whole.
To be fair, Allie, at least he tried something new, right? Maybe they don't catch it, we get to stop. So don't hate. Look, you're knocking on the guy, and he's trying new stuff. So
that's true. But like that was so frustrating too because there was an injury and there was a penalty. So the amount of time that elapsed between plays was like 2 whole minutes, and nobody in Napier's army thought to I think there's a few more out there. I mean, there weren't guys going like, you're standing in my spot. No, you're standing in my spot. Like, what the hell? It's just like such a cluster.
It's a Spider-Man meme.
I mean, literally, like, how was that not going on? How was there not a spotter up there going, coach, this might be a little bit of a problem. But the disorganization when you're preaching organization to me is super frustrating. But
that's me. That's where I'm losing my trust because what you're saying and what you're doing are 2 different things, and it sounds great, but it don't look.
And then
great.
You're not a big deal too by saying, there's certain set of circumstances for why that happened. We're not worried about it, or we're not. Well, it happened 3 times last game. It happened at least once. I'd have to go back and watch because maybe it happened more than once. It has happened in more games than it hasn't. So at that point, like, it's not situational. It's just that everybody can't count. Like, it's frustrating, but I don't think that it's a sign of weakness to give up play calling. I don't think it's a sign of weakness to say, hey, maybe 2 offensive line coaches isn't working. Like, changes are not sign of weakness. They're a sign of strength, that you want to be here, that you need to adapt. You're self-reflective. And I need to see some of that.
For sure. A couple super chats. Hold on, Dave. Let me read these super chats real quick. Josh says, Billy gets this year and next year, needs offensive coordinator this offseason and special teams coordinator. Hated to, but had to walk out of Kentucky Stadium before the end of the game. That's always a brutal one for a fan to leave. I know that feeling that you don't want to leave, but if it's that bad, you're just like, I got to go. $5 from Storley says, this team is growing up literally each week. The leadership on this team are learning to lead. Let's just hope the offseason changes are made. And I think that's a pro that is a very young team. I think that is something to that is the positive, right? In this very dark time, the team is extremely young, which is something that I have preached on, that their pro is the ignorance bliss. Well, the problem is I'm not seeing usually with the pro with a young player is the north and south speed of wanting to knock somebody's head off. And an error comes because of just their lack of awareness around them, and they're just trying to use their athletic ability. We don't have that problem. That's what's frustrating to me, is that these guys aren't playing with the wheels cut off. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I think when you look back at that game, I mean, you failed in every aspect of that game when it came to penalties, missed tackles, offensive play calling, physicality. There was no physicality from any of the players there. I mean, you go and look at our talent profile. We have a 15th ranked talent profile. Kentucky has 31st. You have double the talent profile that this team does, and you're letting them take you to the woodshed. I mean, I saw a play with Princely Uman and he was coming off the edge, and some UK guy just pancaked him while he was just standing there not knowing what to do. I mean, you can't have that, man. You got to have pursuit. You got to go. You got to know what you're doing. And so that's what really irritated me. If we would, like Ali said, if we would have lost the game and it would have been competitive, and we both played physical, that would have been fine. But man, them Kentucky players were popping those Florida players the whole game, and they had all that energy and they had all the momentum. And Florida could just never get back there. They just looked all lackadaisical all over the field, and that's called preparation from a coach. So, I mean, that's basically all I got to say. So,
I do think it's crazy that we are so bad on the road too. I mean, I get going into Tiger Stadium and not being able to hear yourself think and making mistakes. I mean, that crowd is likely to come down over the railings and skin you alive in that stadium. So like, I get that, but I don't understand a noon game at Kentucky and then they use the excuse, oh, it was a noon game, we weren't up. Like, what? This is
Who said that?
Who said it? Oh my goodness. Shamar James said it. He said, well, it's in the post game, he said, well, it's a noon game. It was, I don't know if maybe we were not right awake or we weren't ready yet. Like, he made a comment about them not being ready because it's a noon game. And like, that's crap. There is no and guess what? You keep losing. You want to know how many more noon games you're going to be playing in? A lot. So,
yeah.
But it's the attitude of the team. I need a chip on the shoulder. I need to see a mean streak. And I don't know if that comes from the fact that Billy is so cool, calm, and collected, which I think is a positive, like 95% of the time. And I think it works better in the NIL era. You look at Muschamp or Meyer
Sure.
or one of those guys, and like, you might have guys transferring mid-season because, hitting the portal because of something horrible that was said to them during the week at practice. Your mom's not going to be able to pay her light bill anymore because you suck, which those are things that came out of those coaches' mouths. And that's not Napier's way. So maybe that's a positive. But on game day, tell some guy his power's getting turned off, please. I need some kind of
spice. Yeah,
yes.
Especially after Billy, when he was asked that question, which I loved, he's like, I don't really care what time the game is. I want to win. And for you to come out there and say, hey, like, yeah, we made – my take on it is like, hey, we fucking sucked. It doesn't matter if the game was at noon. That's how the response should have been. For you to blame the fact that it was at noon. So the other team had to wake up at noon too. And who cares if it's at noon, bro? You were playing at Florida. You were playing in an SEC program. You're playing at a Power 5 school, literally to go to
last 2 years.
Like, the fact that this isn't even part of a conversation that these guys are having a hard time getting up and getting excited. Like, you play football. This is what you do for a living. This is the greatest thing you could ask for, is to play football on Saturday. It's way better than playing football on Sunday. It just doesn't pay as well. But the excitement, though, it's like, how could you not want to go into a hostile environment where people are yelling at you and booing at you and just put somebody's ass into the dirt?
And I'll tell you this, the NIL thing and taking it easy on the players, I see so many other teams not taking it easy on players, cussing them out on the sidelines, and nobody leaves those teams. So I don't even like that
winning.
excuse. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is a lot. It's easier for Kirby Smart to make those choices, or Nick Saban. But yeah, I mean, you got to have thicker skin. You got to be a dog. That is the kind of player that we need. That is the kind of player that's going to be successful in this conference. You've got to have that streak in you. And I'm not saying these players don't, but like, we're not seeing it on Saturday. And I don't know if it's not being drawn out of them in the right way or what the deal is, but have some pride. Play with some energy and some fire. I don't care if you're playing at 10 a.m. or you're playing at, 10 p.m. Figure it out.
They could use a midnight workout right now. That's all that I know. Maybe a 5 a.m. stairs or some shit like that to get that blood pumping. If I heard that, if I was a coach and I hear that, and I would, like the next day, I would be like this at 6 a.m. and say, hey, I heard you guys weren't ready to go at 12 p.m., so we're going to get up 6 hours early to make sure that you're locked and loaded next time I play a noon game. Like, just be a dickhead. You are no longer their friends. I'm not here to be your buddy anymore. You're going to hate my effing guts. If I'm Billy, but you are going to despise me. You want to hit the portal? Fucking go. The door's right there. But we're going to win some football games. At this point, if they leave, go do something.
You know what you tell them? And Allie and you could attest to this. Wait till you have kids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Getting up early. Yeah. Being ready. Yeah. I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Exactly. $2 from Chris, man. Thank you for the support, but I appreciate you. So let's try to get a couple things in. Allie's got to go. She's got another show. She's jam-packed today. So I heard Delator, he said this, that him and I think his co-host, he said it was a can't lose. Nick did. The other guy said it's a must win. There's a difference there. Close. How I'm taking it as a must win is that you're desperate to get the win. The can't lose is like you're expected to win. You can't blow this kind of thing, right? So that's kind of, I think, the two parks where those are at. I'll go to you first. What is this game for Florida?
I mean, I kind of think it's a can't lose. I mean, if I could pick both, I would pick both. But Florida should beat Vanderbilt. On paper, there is no comparison. This should be a victory for Florida, and an easy one at that. But it also should have been last year, and it wasn't. So you can't lose this game, though. The temperature of this fan base is already all over the place. We saw it. Everybody was eating each other for lunch the entire week. Billy Napier snapping at people in the press conference. Everybody is on edge. That will go away some if Florida beats Vanderbilt. And not because Vanderbilt's good, but because it's like, okay, we're winning the games that we should. Kentucky was a toss-up game. The way we lost sucks, and that's why everybody's upset. But that was always going to be a coin flip game in this season for us. Vanderbilt is not. So if you win, you're back on track to still having more wins than Vegas predicted. If you cannot beat Vanderbilt, you may not be able to beat anybody else on your schedule. And that is going to cause a massive meltdown in the fan base.
Dave?
Yeah, I think it's a must-win for Billy Napier, and it's a can't-lose for the football team because, as Ali said, you have way more talent than Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has not looked good, and we'll get into Vanderbilt. They have not looked good on either side of throwing the football, rushing the football, defense. Nowhere have they looked good. And I know we didn't look good in that part in that part of last week of Kentucky. But, yeah, I would say you can't lose this game more than it's just a must-win. I will agree with that because, I mean, like Ali said, look at all the teams you got. I mean, you got Georgia, you got LSU, you got Florida State. I mean, the meat of your schedule is coming up. You have to get it together, especially in these next two games. And I don't even think South Carolina is going to be one of those easy games that Florida's just going to fly by either, even though that they've had their struggles too. I mean, Florida's going to have to be on their P's and Q's. You're going to have to continue the missed tackles. Now, maybe that was just one game and a slip up, and maybe Florida just had a bad game, and Scooby had a bad game. And that's what you hope. That's what you hope when it comes to the defense. Get the defense back together, play a clean game against Vanderbilt, get you some confidence going into South Carolina, and hopefully you can win that game, get a bye week, go play Georgia.
We are going on 10 quarters of poor offensive play football. Defensively, I won't say that. I think they played pretty well through the Tennessee game and the Charlotte game. Struggled the last game of Kentucky. But going back to that Tennessee game, the last two quarters, following Charlotte, following Kentucky, offensively, we have looked lethargic is the word that Billy continues to use. So this is going to be a big one. And I'm got to be honest, I'm nervous because this is Vandy. Vandy tastes blood. Smells blood in the water. There's an opportunity here for them to do the exact same thing. It's not the same team as last year, but I mean, I think, don't forget, somebody picked Vandy to win the SEC championship after the SEC Media Day. We don't know the names, but somebody did. And because they felt like the old ball coach at Vandy was going to lock it in. He came in, looked out, and looked hungry, but Vandy obviously just came out being Vandy. But it doesn't mean they can't turn it on for 1 week. Doesn't mean they can't ruin somebody's career, aka Billy's, or a football season. So it's got to be, you got to think it's in the can't lose. We can't be that desperate where it's in the must win. Going back to the comment of the fan base from this week, it was actually funny because I was watching the Phillies game last night, and that fan base is I hate them, but I love them, but I hate them. I'm a Braves fan, and they're obnoxious assholes, but they're phenomenal fans. Like, you have to give them credit when credit is due, and they are rambunctious. But if you're losing, they are just as bad. And I was like, that is Florida in baseball status. It's like a toxic girlfriend, right? Like, just one of those like crazy ones. Like, you're like, it's bad, but when it's good, it's good, and it's like it's hard to like knock it away, and that's what makes being a Florida Gator fan really, really good, because when we're winning, like Tyreek said, it is the best. But right now we are in a complete shambles. And look, we the fans, we just want to win. We just want something to get hyped up for on Saturday. So is sickening. There were some lines that were crossed this weekend in regards to one of the coaches. That there's always a line. They found it. But for the most part, I think that the way that fans felt, regardless if I agreed with their comments or not, I felt like all of it was warranted, because I get it. You're passionate about something. So the fact that we're even having this conversation about Vandy, like this should have been a conversation, like we should be talking about South Carolina this week. That's how my mindset works, right? Like, and I got kind of shit about that last week. Like, we should be skipping games. Like, dude, like this is how, as Florida fans, we've lived our life, have lived my life for 20 plus years. You skip a few games and you start focusing on Florida, Georgia. We are not in that camp anymore, and that scares me.
I mean, it is, there is no gimme games on Florida's schedule. I mean, Charlotte ended up not even really being a gimme game. And I mean, we were in control the entire time, so maybe that's not fair, but like, that's not what the score should have looked like. There's not gimme games left from here on out, though. We play a lot harder teams than Vandy's. So if we can't beat them, we are in trouble. We go to Missouri. Florida historically doesn't play well there. It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. Hey, it's probably going to be early, because it always is. So, we're going to have that stacked against us, because who knows if our team is even awake. Like this, Florida needs this. But if you win this, then it's like, okay, we can probably get to South Carolina. Maybe we can get the away game, jitters out. We can win. And then maybe we can go wreak some havoc for Georgia. We're not beating Georgia, more than likely. But if we played like we played against Tennessee, we can cause some problems. We can keep it close, which at that point that's what fans want. We would just want to see that you have a heartbeat. I don't think we weren't winning 10 games. We weren't winning 9 games. We're not on track, or we're not below where we need to be wins and losses wise. We just look less prepared than we need to look.
We need to, and I think you're spot on. Obviously, I always think we're going to win every single game. That's just my mentality as a fan. But I want to see progress. I want to see that we're making steps forward. And I think, again, the one pro is we're seeing more freshmen on the field. We're seeing a very young team grow and develop and get better. Unfortunately, how patient is the fan base going to be with that part? I don't know. But you've got 2 minutes, Allie, so let's get your closing thoughts before you got to go.
Progress isn't linear, right? So I think if we go back to Saturday, the defense has the worst game that they've had so far in the season, but they've been good the previous 4 games. So they probably get a pass on having a crappy day, because progress isn't linear.
Sure.
But it's coupled with another anemic offensive performance, which is part of the overall, problem that we had. And I think, we talk about play calling, and I clipped a tiny video of my longer video, which talked about third downs, which admittedly is only a small part of the equation. But when you're down by 3 scores and you're choosing to run the ball because that's the safer play, you're playing for a closer loss. You're not playing for a chance to win. And I have a massive issue with that. I don't care where you are on the field. If it's third down and you're down by 3 scores, throw the damn ball and throw it past the markers. Do something, anything. What's going to happen? You're going to lose worse? Who cares? Try something. Maybe you score. Your defense isn't stopping anybody. So punting is essentially adding another score to their column. Try anything, something. Hopefully we'll see something a little bit different on Saturday, but I just want to see a spark, some life. Like we care what the outcome is, because I know that they do, but it's not translating.
I think this was probably the hardest week Billy has faced since being here. The entire staff has faced since being here in Gainesville. And if we don't see a pulse this week, I honestly don't think we'll ever see a pulse. That's what concerns me.
Because you've lost to Kentucky 3 times in a row, and you don't want to lose to Vanderbilt 2 times in a row.
And it plus at home. Well, Allie, you're the best, as always. We got to get with Buddy because he keeps taking our time. Me and Buddy, me throwing hands. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, tell old Buddy.
I will tell him you guys said hi. You guys have a good night.
Thank you, Allie. You too.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, and then we're here. I don't.
Oh boy.
Hey, Mr.
Wow,
Noby, I never get a
channel does not
compliment like
upgrade,
this. Allie, she's smoking today. What about me? Mr. Nobody. Oh, now all of a sudden your eyes work, Mr. Nobody? All of a sudden you can see again? I'm telling Mrs. Nobody. That's what damn sure. I'm giving her a phone call.
Oh, boy.
Jeez, my knees.
Coming in spicy.
Keep it down, boys. Trying to talk
spicy.
Yeah, pipe it down over there. So we were on a roll there. I wish we could have, we had other topics lined up, but I knew she had to go. So this is something that I wanted to kind of, we didn't dive into this too much, but this is where and Steve, you can obviously start to elaborate now too. Is he too organized? Is he too clean cut? And by who? I mean, obviously referring to Billy, because I've talked with guys again from the collective that speak with Billy on a daily basis, and again, their compliment to them was that he's extremely organized. I have complimented that. We've talked about that. He's mentioned that. Is it to a point where it's like he's so organized and try to keep everything so processed that it's hurting the team? Because now it's being put into the team. And you're not allowing the guys to go out there and just run 1,000 miles on the football field and take somebody's head off because they're just trying to be so organized and so uptight. Look, I think for me, you guys see my blunders, my spelling mistakes, my timelines with graphics, etc. I think I have another one coming up. I forgot to change it because I move at my life. I move at 1,000 miles an hour. That's my personality. There's weaknesses. There's drawbacks to that, which we see on a regular basis. Preferably me. I'm pedal to the metal, and I'll get a couple bumps and scratches. That's how I like to function. But I understand some people like to operate in the very boom, 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 boom. I think a CEO should operate like that. But if the CEO is too contagious, I think you need to put the right people around you. But what do you think on him being too clean and cut?
I will say this, and this is just, again, a third-party perspective, and not taking a shot at Florida, but having seen Billy going into a full year and now a half of a year per se, the football team takes on the attitude and the approach of the coach themselves. Okay. And if you are a CEO and you have to maintain that level of discipline to keep yourself cool, calm, and collected, that's fine. But then at some point, you need to allow your assistant coaches, your defensive coordinator, your offensive coordinator, you've got to be able to play this game with a level of chaos, controlled chaos, but a level of chaos that you're ready to go out there and just knock somebody's dick in the dirt. You played like that against Tennessee, and it was contagious across the football team. The offense played it. They played tough football. The defense played tough football. Nobody was letting Tennessee gain an inch without fighting for that inch. And that's the kind of controlled just chaos that you want. You don't want them to be the CEO. You don't want those guys out there thinking like a CEO. You want them out there knowing that they've got to go out there and just hit the other team in the mouth and expect that they're going to get hit. It feels like sometimes that they embody a little bit of Billy's demeanor in the way that he has to approach managing that team like it's a business. And that's fine, but he should have his offensive coordinator, his defensive coordinator, his linebackers coach, everybody on the level below him. He should have them ready to have those guys just eat the other team alive. He can stay cool, calm, and collected. Have your coordinators ready to teach these guys to just go out there and just be ready to annihilate somebody. That way you can be yourself, you can stay calm, you can make the right decisions, but they still have that edge. And it feels like they don't have that edge. And I'm wondering, and this is just me thinking out loud, if Billy is too much of a player's coach and not enough of like a Saban or like a Jimbo or somebody who just has that fire, and they're not upset. They're not afraid to throw a headset at somebody. They're not afraid to grab somebody by a face mask. I haven't seen that yet. So I don't know if maybe he's too much of a player's coach and it's just not translating in that regard. But look, I mean, he is good at what he's doing in regard to the job that he has. I think he needs to be able to get the assistant coaches to get these guys a little bit more edgy on a game by game basis. Tennessee did it for you. Sure. Because that's a rivalry game at home, and I think that part took care of itself. It's the Kentucky at home, away at noon, and those type of games that you've got to get these guys up for.
Yeah.
What do you think, David?
And this is going to be unpopular, but I think part of me thinks he's hired way too many hats in that office to control way too many things, but he doesn't need to be controlling. It needs to be somebody else. But I think, like, you have 2 offensive line coaches. They can't recruit worth a damn. They can't get people, situated to where they can block. They can't do the simple things. Like, you have 2 guys that could do that. Your special teams coach, we're not going to get into that because there were some bad things that happened with him. And I don't want to make fun of him or anything else like that. But, like, your special teams looks like crap. You got a guy that's supposed to watch the portal, the transfer portal. You got one guy that's dedicated to that just in general. And we were so late on the transfer portal last year. And now we're in the position that we're in now when you could have got better players out of the portal if you just jumped on it a lot more. And then you look at recruiting, and then last year, the 2023 class, minus a lawyer that was given some big booster info over there to another lawyer. I mean, you missed out on a lot of guys because of Miami. I mean, Miami was basically taking your lunch money. Of course, they had help. They had some guy giving them all the business, but like, you put yourself behind the 8 ball again. So now in your transition class, that's like your most important class ever is your transition class. You get not the transition class, the bump class. You get your transition class. The bump class is the most important. You're supposed to get all the talent in that bump class. Billy Napier got talent. He got top 250 talent. He got some good players in there, minus 0 5-stars, maybe 1 top 50 guy. And then you go down the list, and it's just like, okay, well, you look at this class. I mean, yeah, the number 4 class. Now that you've, basically fixed all your NIL problems and everything else like that, which that's good, but you got to hold on to that class until National Signing Day. And you got to look at it too. This class right now that Billy Napier has is the class that's going to make or break him. He has to hold on to this class. If there's people that start decommitting and it goes down to number 10 or number 12, like, you might as well say goodbye, Billy Napier, because he's going to be out the door because you're not going to be able to compete with this all SEC schedule that's coming up with all these other teams that are recruiting top 5, top 10 every year. So you're going to have to hold on to this class. So you've already missed your bump class, so that already put you a year behind. I'm not going to say that those guys don't have talent, because they do. We've seen what Jordan Castell has done. We've seen what Kelly Collins has done. So there is talent on that roster. There just could have been more talent for your offensive line, like a Samson Okunlola or a Francis or something like that. You could have had more 5-star offensive linemen or some bigger offensive linemen on that side of the football. And now you're struggling to do that because you missed on those guys and you didn't get to the portal fast enough. So now you're behind the 8 ball again. You can't do that this cycle. You have to recruit at a high level. It has to stay in the top 5, and you have to hit the portal for the good guys in the portal this time, and you cannot wait. And I think that will eventually help into that SEC schedule, but you're still going to struggle in that SEC schedule because you better expect to lose some games next year, because a lot of teams are going to lose some games. But you just have to hit top 5. You have to hit top 5. You have to hit good in the portal, or else this team's due. I mean, you got DJ Lagway coming in. I don't even know if he goes for a quarterback. Mertz might stay, and he might keep Mertz and DJ Lagway. I have no clue, but I mean, right now, it's just looking like you look at the schedule and you're like, you maybe see 2 wins, maybe 3, maybe South Carolina, maybe Missouri, Vanderbilt. I mean,
yeah. Look, I think, you guys both nailed it on the head. I think you guys are spot on. The chat was actually, this is the one thing I think we're finally finding like a little bit of agreement here. It's been a bloodbath, I feel like, this week. And nobody's really trying to defend Billy. And again, the whole fire Billy and move on. I think we can all agree that this is where I'm frustrated, because I don't want to start over again. The last thing that I want to do is get a whole new staff in here, fire somebody halfway through. We basically chalk this season, possibly lose out on DJ Lagway because of it. Like, this class that is intact, that is a really healthy class. I mean, this class is extremely healthy and has the potential to do something great. But we do need to see some changes. And to get into that, Steve Spurrier had a lot to say. I'm going to read a couple clips from his interview on the radio today. It's always fun to hear about him. I think people respect his opinion about it. You hear the bring Spurrier back or bring Urban back to come back and coach. But he had his take on it. And remind you, when Judd was on, he told us a story why Steve Spurrier left. He left Florida because the fan base got to the point where it was just too exhausting. You beat Kentucky, but only beat by 10. And everybody was like, it wasn't enough. Well, now we're bitching because we ain't beating Kentucky. So maybe we shouldn't have bitched so damn much. But Spurrier's not going to sit here and bash Billy Napier. He understands the role here and understands how hard it is. So you're not going to get anything too much out of him. But he did say a few things. The big thing says, well, the question kind of like, what is your thoughts? Should he become more aggressive with his offensive scheme? So that was up to him. I mean, you can come out wide open, or you can say we got to get the ball to ETN, obviously. Tennessee was our best game. I think he had about 170 yards rushing. So you can't do both. Can't throw it deep 3 times and punt and run ETN. So you got to mix it up. That's what we all try to do. We try to mix up the pass and the run. But I do think we need to toss more deeper balls. You look all over the country, teams are scoring a bunch of points, like Southern Cal the other day in Colorado. I mean, they create plays. When they throw it down the field, they got guys flying around all over the place. I think we do need to air it out a little bit more. And then if you're successful doing that, ETN will have more rushing yards as well. You know, what is interesting is I like to kind of always read behind the lines a little bit. He keeps referring to ETN, and this is something that the timeline, Twitter timeline, was really getting involved with this past week because Montrell seems to be the starting guy. But I think we can all agree that he has taken a step back behind ETN, but we still have not seen a lot of ETN. Yet we keep beating on the door. Now, we're going to get to the depth chart. He is questionable this week. For what reason? I don't know. Here's an important line from what Spurrier said, and this is something that we keep referring to about ego, and I referred to this on Monday about we keep calling for him to make a change. But at the other time, if somebody keeps telling you, hey, you're doing it wrong, or you should do this, or you should do that, but your gut tells you, no, this is the way to do it, I have to just push through it, there's a fine line. At what point do you make an adjustment, or at what point do you, move forward? There's a lot of people that have an opinion on how this show should be ran, right? And they have, like, Steve, you guys should do this, you should do that. And we kind of had to figure out our own way and believe in ourselves and trust in ourselves. So I think there's a little bit of both. Finding that sweet spot is hard for anybody. But this is what he said. He's done it his whole head coaching career. So I used to always say, if you're offensive coordinator, head coach, play caller, and you're going to get another job, that's the reason you got it, because you're pretty good at doing that. So obviously, we thought he was very good at it as a head coach and as a play caller. That's why we hired him. So I don't think he's going to change anything soon right now. That's a good point. Now, this goes back to another layer where Scott Strickland should be fired because this guy doesn't know what he's doing either, but that's another conversation for another day. He did even refer to, there's a coach in Eli, the head coach of Missouri, says he gave up play calling, hired him an offensive coordinator. Now they're 5-0, as did Texas A&M Jimbo Fisher by Petrino, and they look to be a lot better as well. And who has the biggest ego out of all of them, besides Lane Kiffin, who owns the ego trophy, I would say is Jimbo Fisher. It's a pissing contest between the two of them. So a kind of a heavy little segment there from Spurrier and his kind of overall perspective of Billy Napier and what he's doing. But the one thing that I really did focus on is, look, we did hire him for this. Whether we agree we should have hired him for that or not, he feels that he was brought in for his ability to play call. And that I do agree with, is that you have to, but again, you have to believe in your process. You have to trust your process. But at what point do you make the switch? Dave, what's your thoughts on Spurrier speaking out and what he had to say?
I don't know when you hit the switch, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that at the end of the year, there's probably going to be a change at offensive coordinator. I heard Allie allude to like the maybe handing the keys over to the tight end coach, Russ Callaway, and I don't think that would be a bad idea to maybe get some ideas off of him or let him have a few plays drawn up in the playbook. But as far as like you talk about airing out the ball and all that, like you set up the pass when you run and you set up the run when you pass, and you're going to have a good mixture of that. If you don't have a good mixture of that, teams are going to prepare for a one-dimensional offense, and when your defense is struggling, you're not going to be able to win the football game. What game have you seen so far where, I guess, this year where the defense has struggled, which I guess would only be really Kentucky, and the offense can't help at all, can't score any points? Utah, I mean, defense wasn't really struggling. There was a turnover, there was a big bomb, and that was it. But like, when did the offense try to bail out the defense from stopping Utah? When did the offense try to bail out defense against Kentucky? I mean, the defense is not going to have a clean-cut game every single game this year. We know there's a lot of young guys on that defense, and they're good playmakers, but they're going to have their struggles. When will we see the offense come out there and execute? And when they get down by 10 points, when they get down by 14 points, I think that, you're going to have to, especially in this game, if it's Vanderbilt, I don't even care if you're up by one score, throw the football. This is what we need to see.
For sure. Hey, before, Steve, you go on this, we got over almost 500 people in here. Be sure to smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new here. We're on the way to 18,000 subs. Helps us out a lot. Let's you two know that we're doing a good job. If we're not doing a good job, then I don't know. But I understand if you don't want to, because Steve in his ugly shirt, as Dom has referred to him many times. But what's your thoughts, Steve, on Spurrier? your favorite head ball coach of all time and his comments on Billy.
Look, I don't dislike Spurrier. He was fun for college football when he was there. I'm not surprised in the least that Steve Spurrier in the fun and gun offense, the guy who ran that and ran it to perfection with multiple quarterbacks, has the idea and the notion that you should be throwing the ball deep. That he liked to do that. That's kind of what Spurrier was known to do. So I'm not too surprised by his ideology and what Napier could do to maybe open things up, but I don't think he's saying it from a standpoint of that's just his natural philosophy towards an offense and how he would run it. I think he's saying it simply because you're not making the safeties back up to respect a deep pass. So they can almost kind of they could play like a box safety with the intention of plugging the running lanes. Mertz, we knew going in was going to be a guy who was going to be consistent on those mid-level passes, those 10-yard hitch routes, those 12-yard outs, maybe the slants. But you got to send a guy on a skinny post and split those safeties from time to time just to keep them back on their heels, so they're not leaning forward at the snap, expecting to charge and try to fill a running gap. You got to keep them on their heels so that they have to respect the fact that, especially with some of your younger wide receivers that are just blazing fast, even if they're just out there as a decoy to just run out there as fast as they can. I don't even care if you throw the ball over their head intentionally. Keep the safeties guessing as to what you're going to do and get them out of the mindset that they're almost, they're playing two steps ahead of where they need to be because they know that Mertz isn't going to take the risk. Again, you don't have to connect on the pass. Even if you overthrow it, even if it goes, 2 yards over their head out of bounds, at least they know you'll throw the damn thing. The problem I think we are having right now is even with two really good running backs in Montrell and Etienne, the teams don't have to take that step back. They're not waiting to see what you guys are going to do. They're living inside that 10 to 12 yard passing zone. And when you run the ball, the safeties are already kind of squatting on it. So if for nothing else, just throw the damn thing deep just to make the safeties have to play honest. For nothing else.
No, I totally agree. I think you kind of nailed it on the head when you said the safeties are able to creep up a little bit. The breakdown this weekend was phenomenal. I'm going to watch it some more and kind of try to do maybe like a recap because, look, we're calling Billy on a lot. I know Stephen Harris came out, kind of put some blame onto the players. I'm so in the full camp that it is on coaching. But I do want to take a look at the tape because, look, some of the play calling was atrocious at times. There was a great breakdown on Twitter today where it showed 4th and 4 and how we basically just ran slants and just collided everybody. We had Montrell. The way he breaks it down is absolutely exceptional. But
that's the one where he was talking about potentially having Montrell on the wheel
do
route.
A wheel route, exactly.
You
have him run the wheel route. The cornerback either bites or like you have one guy running a streak, him running the wheel route, so the corner either stays with him, which opens up Montrell, forcing the linebacker to come across, which he would have been too slow. If the cornerback bites, you got a streak down up in the middle because they're playing cover one, and you got two guys. It's exceptional, but there's plenty of times where I watch where Mertz just didn't make the right decision either. Right, which again goes back to my opinion, coaching. When you're watching film, how do you not see those things?
The other part of that is look. He completed the pass. If you look at that play, because I know exactly the play that you're talking about.
No, he did not. He did not. He threw it to Boardingham underneath the check
short. It was short.
Yeah,
of the sticks.
He threw it high though.
That's the problem. He should have never. But the wide receiver should have. All he had to do was run that route 1.5 yards longer. And not even that. He was 1.5 yards short. That's a wide receiver issue. You know where the sticks are. You shouldn't be going into your route
but this goes
1.5 yards short of the sticks.
This goes back to me talking about on Monday where I was like, look, if you have a bird's eye view, you should be able to look down and go, hey, Mertz, check cover one. We're going to run, call quick audible, open things up because you put Boardingham in the slant across. But again, it's crowded. You're putting a young wide receiver who hasn't been playing much across. Was it Boardingham? No, because that was Douglas. Excuse me, Douglas across the middle. You're putting a young guy in a high pressure situation to make a bang bang play, and Mertz to throw in a tight pocket. When if you just make a quick audible, you got an easy pass, either a wheel route or somebody else, right? And no problemo. So I'm gonna see if I can kind of maybe break it down by the numbers a little bit more. Thank you for your super chat too, Storley. I pulled it up on the screen, but I forgot what it said.
I think AD Gene was down at the bottom of that play. But anyway, I want to give him a shout out. Gator Nation Football Podcast. They do a really good job breaking down the film and all.
It's a mouthful.
For folks like us. So I do appreciate that. So it helps us out when we do shows. So.
Yeah, Mr. Nobody, I'm glad we became your favorite show tonight, you piece of shit. Again, boys, be sure to smash the like button, show some love. Happy to have almost 500 people here on a Wednesday night. It's still the best day of the week, whether we win or lose. It's always nice to come back and have a little family to either bitch about it, celebrate about it, etc. It's a lot of bitching going on tonight, but that's kind of where we're at. What else do I have for the boys? I have one last little thing here about Billy. I know we're kind of beating the drum here a little bit, but that's just kind of where we're at, and I apologize. Blast to the past on Billy here. I saw this. This was a clip of an article from a Bleacher Report that was written. I don't know when it was written, but I'm going to read it for you, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. Napier was especially young to be a coordinator at age 30 and was questionable hire year for the Tigers is when he was at Clemson. After serving up a 9-4 campaign in his first season, his offense in 2010, this was 13 years ago, would suffer a below-average performance in 2010, especially at the quarterback and wide receiver position. His lack of success in 2010 was due to his predictability on offense, the play calling was conservative, and his offense failed to develop any kind of identity at any point during the season. Even when Andre Ellington was healthy, his tendencies were easy to read. As noted in the Boston College game, the players and personnel knew if the player was under center, it was a run. If it was shotgun, it was a pass. Those tendencies occupied with conservative play calling equaled the dismal below-average offense that would end up a losing record of 6-7. This honestly put a pit in my stomach. There's a couple things, 3 or 4 things that I noticed. What is something that we've been talking about for the last 3 weeks? Judd started it. Identity. I cannot believe we didn't read this damn article. I had no clue. This was Judd, and this is something that we have been prefacing. We have a hard time finding our identity. So clearly there's a pattern here. The other thing, predictability. We have been preaching that since last year. I was beating the drum this year. I talked about it on Monday's show. When you look at the certain lineup, you know that we're running the football. If I'm seeing it, Billy, who else is seeing it, right? And then conservative. Those are Billy's words. He said that after the Tennessee game. I was a bit conservative at the second half. This article was written almost 10 years ago. So that when I read that really kind of put me over the edge of same dog, same tricks. You know what I mean? And when somebody's using those words that we have been using without reading any outside knowledge, it's just us 3 dumbass dudes just talking ball, and we're able to pull up those exact words that are describing Billy Napier. Scares the living shit out of me that we might be doomed. It's basically what I'm getting at.
Not to make it any worse, but this may scare the shit out of you even more.
Thanks, Dave.
I just pulled up the 2010 roster for Clemson. Their quarterback was a guy named Taj Boyd, who had a very good career, college career. Andre Ellington was the running back, who I believe made it into an NFL roster, if I'm not mistaken. And they also had a guy named, where did he go? Oh, DeAndre Hopkins at wide receiver.
I was like, it's going to be, I was thinking Sammy Watkins, but I was like, that might be a little too late.
Yeah. So
you're telling me they didn't have a lot of weapons then? They didn't have weapons.
No, they didn't have anybody.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah, he didn't have a lot around him.
Yeah, I mean, well, if it makes you feel any better, when he was at Louisiana Lafayette, he averaged over 30 points per game, but that's the Sun Belt. That is not the SEC, ACC. So,
well, this goes back to my original comment about being over the head. I think he's great at building a program. I think he has a great system, but a system that applies, again, why he's over his head, to lesser, and I'm not trying to shit on these guys, but lesser talented players that they're not as far along in their career. But he's not being able to take these IMG guys that are playing basically college ball for the last 3 years and able to develop them and make them better.
Yeah, I mean, when you look around the SEC too, I mean, there's teams with lesser talent that play against more talented teams and they're able to score more points. I mean, something's got to give. I mean, I'm glad Allie put out that video of the 3rd and 22 and the 3rd and 15 and the 3rd and 8 and you're running the ball up the middle. That's like throwing in the towel, man. What are you doing with the new clock rules and everything else? You're just going to run up the middle, waste some clock, kick it back off to Kentucky. No wonder you lost that game. There was no fight.
Yeah, you're down by 2 scores, and you know that you're not going to go for it. If you're not going to go for it on 3rd and 18, right? You know you're not going to try to get the 18 yards. If you're down by 2 scores and you know this clock is going to continue to run,
exactly.
I mean, throw an incomplete pass. Just throw an incomplete pass at somebody's feet and stop the clock. Just try to give yourself as much time as possible. You're turning around and handing the ball off on a draw up the middle, getting 2 yards, and the clock just keeps on just eating away at you. You're just not doing yourself any favors in that regard.
So real quick, go ahead.
I was gonna. If you're gonna go ahead and punt, you might as well just throw it deep and let it get picked.
Yeah, same thing. So Tawan shows me. You're saying you're commenting to this article here, saying that was before Alabama and UL. And then he says he wouldn't have gotten a job after that at Alabama. He went to Alabama as a wide receiver coach, so he got demoted. So guys suck at a job and get demoted elsewhere, so that's not true, first of all. Second of all, he wouldn't have won Sun Belt conferences in back-to-back years. Okay, let me answer that question here. I understand that was 10 years ago, and I've also heard that he struggled at Clemson. I usually put it to the side. The point that I'm making is that the words that we're using to describe his offense now was used to describe the offense 10 years ago. That's what I'm saying. And to your comment about he won the Sun Belt Conference back-to-back, I literally just explained that it's different. I don't think he has a poor system. I don't think his system works well in this level of talent. Again, I have been a huge Billy supporter.
I also think the lack of a dual-threat quarterback, a true dual-threat quarterback, is hurting his offense too.
See, I want to believe you on that too. But we had him last year, and we talked shit about the dual threat quarterback last year. So I can't support this.
Hey, hold on, no. But how many games did we lose, and how much did we lose by? Plus, our defense was not that great either.
Yeah,
I know, but we gave Anthony shit. Yeah, and we gave Anthony shit.
Yeah, but I mean,
there was times that Anthony was the antithesis of why you lost some of those games. Like the USF game, you won it, but your defense didn't win it. Your offense just barely didn't give it away. So the dynamic of having a running quarterback, I don't know, because I didn't see a whole lot of option reads that Anthony was running. I think Anthony would see that he couldn't figure out where to throw the damn ball, and it was just faster than everybody else. It didn't feel like there was an offense built around his skill set.
But they were able to run the football better. When you have a dual threat quarterback, you got to account for him, and you're able to run the football better. But
sure.
As you said, I mean, not every game is going to be decided on the offense or defense of whether you win or lose it, though, too. I mean, you're going to have a back and forth. Was it the offense's fault? Was it the defense's fault? At the end of the day, we all know as Florida Gator fans, our defense sucked last year. It was horrible. And that's how we lost.
Well, the other part of it is Anthony Richardson he wasn't scared to throw the ball. The dude can throw the ball 80 yards on one knee. So Anthony Richardson would chuck a football and keep the damn safeties from stepping up into the box and making his life hell if he had to take off and run. He'd throw the ball down the field. He may not connect, but he was going to make sure the safeties knew he could do it. And I don't think that's where Mertz is. Mertz is keeping everything, inside a 15, maybe 18-yard radius.
Boys and girls, go ahead.
I was just going to say Richardson just struggled with his accuracy. That's all it really was.
Yeah,
but,
and that's for sure. Boys, over 470 in the chat. Be sure to smash the like button. Let us know that we're doing a good job. Let's do our last little bit here, predictions of this Vandy game. We got to talk about being a can't lose. We're going to get into the depth chart here in just a minute, but I do want to get just a quick little rundown predictions from all of you.
Dave, I'll let you take them. I'll go next.
Do you want a prediction from me? Oh, God.
Whatever you want to do, Dave. At this point, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? This is a complete disaster.
Well, okay, so I'll say this. I'll say this is a game Florida should win. I am picking Florida to win the game, but the key word is Florida should win this game. So I will pick Florida, and I'm hoping that they can at least score 30 points on Vanderbilt, because when you look at some of these statistics, and we'll get to it here in a second, but when we get Holly's little opinion here, Vanderbilt's not a good team. But go ahead, Holly.
Yeah, so Vanderbilt is not a very good defensive team, right? They've given up a little over 400 yards so far this year on defense. Now, if you look at a side-by-side comparison on the quarterbacks, there's not a whole lot of difference. Vanderbilt's quarterback has thrown 11 touchdowns. Florida's quarterback has thrown 6. I know that Florida splits carries with the running backs, with ETN and with Johnson, but the running game for Vanderbilt hasn't been awful. And then if you look at your number one wide receiver, Pearsall, he's got less receiving yards and less touchdowns than Vanderbilt's number one wide receiver. So offensively, it looks like they can do some things defensively, it looks like anything that you put at them is going to be just a pushover. So I expect Florida to be able to put up 30 points and win that game by 20.
I like 35-0.
That's what the spread. The spread says we should win by at least 19.
Yep, got to kick that ass and take names. Super chat from Matt Burdett, $5 says Billy is at a new level learning real time. I believe he will adjust. Mertz is missing open guys and reads at line. O-line was biggest issue. It still is. It's not a bad take. Let's get into the depth chart here. A couple of interesting things that we got to look at is Eugene Wilson is starting, but I don't believe it one bit. Andy Jean not starting anymore. Khalil Jackson is. Now, he was starting last week, but Khalil Jackson definitely got more reps regardless of what this said. I believe Boston Barber's starting, but he's questionable from what I saw. It looks like Kingsley is now back out, which, honestly, I wasn't really impressed last week as much hype as I put behind it, so it is what it is. Trevor Etienne, also questionable with some injuries. So some more good news there. And who else is hurt? I think
Odom, I think you said.
Jonathan Odom's out.
Yeah. Odom, Xanders, God, what was the other guy? Odom, Xanders, Etienne, or we already said Etienne.
Ty Bowman, Caleb Douglas obviously is out. Miguel Mitchell, also questionable, and Jamarcus Weston is also out. So a lot of good news with this depth chart. A lot of positive things to go over here. Love seeing those things, so that's great to see. That's where we're at with the depth chart. Nothing too shiny or exciting to look. But Devil Dog $5 says Billy is so into analytics it makes it too boring and predictable. No calls from the gut. I like that as well. Need some more.
There is one interesting thing on there. Eugene Wilson starting, but he was last week and didn't play. So hopefully he does play this week.
Yeah, we were lied to last week.
Marcus Burke is back too. Marcus Burke is back.
Oh, good. Marcus Burke has been out. Now we got a few things. We got to go around the league. Let's get it. Yeah, buddy. Okay, this is kind of around the league. So, report came out that Urban was going to interview for Michigan State, and then it came out that he wasn't. I don't know what's going on with it. More so, the reason I wanted to talk about it is, do we really think that he'll coach again? 1. 2, this started a frenzy on Twitter that he was coming back to Florida. This is where I get a little confused because this is where that toxic relationship that I was referring to earlier in Florida fans, where we like the crazy one, the crazy girl, right? Who's like would like literally have a knife at our neck when we wake up in the middle of the night, but the sex is too good, so we can't stop. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. That's to me is Urban Meyer. Like, we forgot this guy left us because he had heart problems. Then he went to Ohio State, left them because he had heart problems. Then he was at Jacksonville. Like, I think the guy's a good dude, but then he's in Jacksonville, stays behind to hang out with Stephen Fitzmaurice-Beaver, and then kicks players. Like, it's just like there's a record here. Like, are we just ignoring these things? Like, I'm confused. Like, you think? Do we really believe Urban's going to come in and be able to apply the things that he once did? Maybe. Am I blind? Am I missing something? Like, should we be like ecstatic if Urban was to come back, or should we want Urban to come back? Like, I'm in a weird place here. Like, I'm afraid to say anything because I don't want to get dragged.
Yeah. Well, it looks like he doesn't have any more heart problems anymore. He's been eating his oatmeal. So, I think he's over at Fox Sports now, doing whatever he's doing there. And I think Bruce Feldman actually, I want to get the name right too. I think it was Bruce Feldman that made a report that said Urban Meyer has no interest in head coaching at Michigan State. And that's what he put out. And that was like word of mouth. So I don't even know. Like, if Urban wanted to come back to Florida, if Napier was still coaching, he wanted to come to Florida in some sort of role, I would be okay with that.
No, head coach. You want him as head coach? Q Lee says give him $109 million. Sign the deal. He said he'll help pitch in.
How old is Urban now? How old is he? Like 50, 60?
He's got to be in his 50s. Yeah, he's not too old.
Yeah, I mean, say like if Billy Napier was to get fired, whatever. I mean, like, I don't think any Florida Gator fan would be opposed to Urban coming back. I would be excited for it, but I mean, it's not like I'm going to say, oh, let's fire Billy Napier now and bring Urban back.
Steve?
if the situation were reversed and Jimbo Fisher,
Jimbo,
wanted to come
right?
back to Florida State, I wouldn't want him back.
Yeah, I think it's a little different though.
We've had our relationship. It's like,
different.
Look, to your
it's
point,
different
we've
though.
had a relationship. It was good. It was great. We won a national championship. We were all together.
No, it's a little different. It's a little different.
We broke up, and now anytime you try to get back together, there's always that.
Yeah, but it's different though because Jimbo broke up, went to a new person, and gained 15 pounds and doesn't look as good. Urban left, won another national championship, and then said, "All right, I'm going to go." And it's been a while, so it's like a toxic relationship. You forgot about all the bad things. You're like, you know what? We'll let it slide. Bosco nailed the head. He figured it out. I didn't realize this is why we've been losing. He says you guys are all being punished because you're horrible people.
Oh,
Show's
wow.
over.
I didn't.
Show's over.
Yeah,
Thank goodness he was here to clear things up. That's fantastic.
Elton, you're horrible, man.
I don't know that it's like again like I like the Urban thing's weird. Like the chat's even 50-50. Like nobody knows how to feel about it. That just shows kind of where the dark place that we're in right now. Like Gator fans that we're even like when Urban left. I remember this. Like we were pissed. Like F that guy, and then he goes Ohio State and wins. We're like F that guy. Right? Like, yeah. And now all of a sudden it's like, all right, we're desperate. We're sorry. We didn't mean anything.
There's a mixture in the fan base. There's some people that love him to death, and then there's some people that don't like him. So like I said, if say in a couple of years or something, like something were to happen and Napier was to get fired and they said, well, we're going to hire Urban Meyer. We're after Urban Meyer. I wouldn't be upset about it. I'd be excited. Yeah. But I'm not going to say it now.
Okay. I don't know. I just feel like we're just back on this carousel again. I mean, I think he left for a reason. He played heart attack. And I'm not saying he didn't have health issues. He probably did. I mean, I have health issues as a fan, so I can imagine how he felt as a coach. I'm not trying to discredit that, but he also bailed. I haven't bailed on you guys, not yet. Anyways, give it a couple more weeks.
Let me ask you this: if this recruiting class comes in and it stays, or it even improves, like to top 4, top 3,
you want Urban to come in and sling that bad boy around? I got a dog,
No. Napier hires a good OC. He has a good OC, and then he has a 9-10 win season.
You imagine he brings Mullen back? I'm just saying. He won't fuck around. Hey, fuck around and find out. That's what I'm saying.
To talk about culture, that culture is going to go away real fast.
Hey, F culture. I want W's. You know what I'm saying? FSU is like the best team ever. They should start their own league, apparently. Because that's how I've been hearing about all week between Harlan and Steve. Just sorry. Let me go ahead and bring this graphic up. So Steve sends me this graphic. Harlan started the bullshit with this graphic. I want to know like where we're going with this. Like before I start my argument here, this could get juicy, boys. So buckle up here because this is where I'm. Like Steve's over here. This is how Steve talks shit. This is his passive bullshit that I get frustrated with. But I'm look. He's got every right to. So I'm all ears. But Harlan puts it in there because he prefaced by saying nobody wants FSU in the SEC, but look at these numbers. That's how this whole thing started. Why did you send it to me, Steve? What are you trying to prove here? What's the point here? You better be good because I'm ready.
A bunch of people
because all we keep hearing, because we know that FSU is leaving the ACC. Okay, we basically have 2 feet out the door. It's just not done yet. But everybody keeps saying, well, the SEC doesn't want Florida State because they already have a footprint in Florida. Well, this is telling you that it's not about a footprint in Florida. FSU is a national brand. They've always been a national brand. People in Nebraska and California want to watch FSU play football. It doesn't have anything to do with the location and what state we're in. It doesn't matter that the University of Florida is maybe 190 miles down the road. The fact of the matter is in 10 football games, FSU has 2 of the top 10 most viewed games nationally. Why would the SEC not want that, regardless of where our geographical footprint may be? It's clearly a national brand that people are watching regardless of where we are and regardless of the proximity to Gainesville. Doesn't matter. It clearly does not matter.
You know who has the most viewed games right now? Taylor Swift.
So here's okay. So that's your point. So the fact that you have to even mention like look at me, we're popular, shows that you're not. Number one. Number two, look at the games that you're in. You played LSU. Okay, so how much of that was LSU fan base? Number three, This game was on primetime, and I know Harlan was arguing the game that Florida played at Utah was also primetime. Sunday Night Football in the first week of college football is massively different. Number 4, every Florida fan was also tuned in to watch hopefully one of these teams lose. We won either way. So how much of it is fans tuning in to watch FSU lose? Same thing with this Clemson, which is also a very big brand. It was at noon. Florida fans were also tuning in to watch FSU lose. Okay?
You're watching.
Of course we're watching, but it's not because FSU is a big brand. It's because we hate FSU.
When
FSU is irrelevant, if you go back to the last year's numbers, Florida beat FSU in watch time with a losing record, and you guys were 10-3.
That was the only game on besides Oregon State and San Jose State. Who do you think's going to be watching that game? Everybody.
What other game? So what about the Florida Utah?
The Colorado State game. The Colorado State game and Colorado game is more impressive. That game was on at 10:00 at night, and it's beating you. Look, not prime time either.
Beat Colorado because of prime. Yeah, dude. Yeah, that guy has been nothing but.
Okay, so are they a national brand? Are they a national brand now too? They're up there 5 times.
No. This is going to be a flash in the pan if they continue to get their ass whipped.
Well,
that game's on a Sunday. There's no college football.
They're up there for Clemson too.
Florida State and LSU on Sunday.
Look, I think your brand is big. I'm not discrediting you, but are you trying to say that it's bigger than Florida or the same size as Florida? Like, I don't know where the argument is coming into play at.
Basically, what it's saying is that everybody keeps saying that the reason that the SEC wouldn't consider Florida State is because there's already a foothold of a team in Florida. Well, that clearly doesn't matter. I don't think Florida wants to have to deal with competition in the same state, in the same conference. That's what it comes down to. I don't think it has anything to do with that's like what? We have Texas and Texas A&M in the same conference. Like what does that even make sense? That doesn't even make sense. But that's what everybody keeps saying. What's the point of bringing in FSU if there's already a team in Florida? They already have the Florida.
Why are you FSU fans so obsessed with being the SEC? Y'all try to tell us all the time how shitty it is. Now all of a sudden y'all want to be a part of it. You and I argue all the time that the SEC isn't that great. Now you guys want a piece of the pie? Go to the Big Ten. We don't want your bitch ass.
Fine, we'll take that too. Trust me, we'll take that too.
I know, y'all ain't got a home to live in. Y'all ain't got your shitty ass conference. You ain't got a home to piss in. If your shit was so good, if your shit didn't stink, why are you leaving the conference? Why aren't you helping your conference out? Selfish pricks.
Just because the conference sucks. Now has nothing to do with us.
Okay, yeah, not your fault. Yeah, let's point the finger. You're talking about how great your brand is. Colorado single-handedly is going to save the entire state of Colorado. Y'all can't save a damn You can't save one conference. You and Clemson by yourselves.
No,
hold on.
No, why would we not take more money? Why would we? We've already tried to do that. FSU's been trying to save the ACC for 2 decades. Can't do it. ACC sucks. All they care about is basketball.
How many people tune into the Boston College game? Do we have those numbers?
Oh, I don't know. I know that FSU leads the overall viewership in the ACC as a conference.
I would hope so.
But that also includes Notre Dame. Notre Dame is included in those numbers. FSU is ahead of Notre Dame in overall viewership by about 1.5 million plus over Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a national brand. So again, you're looking at having a situation where
I think more fans tune in to watch Florida State lose than they will Notre Dame.
I think that might be true.
I think Florida State's piggybacking off. That's how big Florida's fan base is.
I don't think people in Texas are watching just to see FSU lose. I think they're watching because FSU is a national brand. I don't think they have a dog in the fight, but they're watching. It's just, maybe in this small group, in this small segment, in this state, in this area where we live, that may be true. But get outside of this area, and I can promise you that somebody this is like mad
little bro syndrome. Like you're like trying to say that you're a national brand. Like I don't think anybody's ever claimed that you guys aren't a respectable brand. It's like you're upset for what? I don't even like it's like little brother just like pissed in the corner because he just feels like he's not getting enough love. Like little bro, like nobody's even said anything to you. Just eat your breakfast and shut up. You know what I mean? Like that's how this conversation feels. Like you said it to me, I was like, I don't even know what we're gonna argue about. But if you want to just complain about nothing, sorry.
Is this a big game boomer list? Because if it is, get that trash out of here.
No, this is a alternative. This isn't big game. I don't know who it is.
Is that like a damn who is that? BBB.
It's
What is that,
different.
like,
It's not. It's
great
different.
value
It
versus big-
maybe he's creating a second account, but either way, this is just stats, so it doesn't really matter. Super chat from Devil Dog says we already have one Vanderbilt. Don't need another one. So, I mean, these are all valid points. All right.
Yeah, ask LSU how much of a Vanderbilt we are. They seem to not be able to beat us.
Yeah, well, they seem to not even have a defense.
All right. Anything else before we move on? I mean, you get your shit out, Steve. You good?
That's fine. Don't you? You guys play LSU this year, right?
We play them every year. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll score like 20. It's fine.
Just curious.
None of that matters. None of that matters.
You're right.
You play us too, so it doesn't matter if LSU beats us.
I would laugh if we lost to LSU and then we beat Florida State.
I know. That's what I'm saying. None of it matters. Let's get into our pick'ems, which is brought to you by MyBookie, not bet.us, Bozeman. I got Bozeman yelling at me because he signed up with the wrong betting company and was he was arguing with IT saying I put in my high top code and the guy was like, you were scammed. And I got Bozeman yelling at me because he doesn't know how to use his damn login. He didn't respond back to me. I don't know if he responded. I think he just gave up. I don't know. Go to mybookie.ag. Use the code HIGHTOP to get a little extra sauce when you put some money in there to gamble. What I've learned is do not listen to me. I'm down bad, bro. I got one right. I thought I goose egged. I was sweating. I was like, I'm gonna be the first cat to come in here and goose egg. Killed me. I'm 16 of 21. Holly's 20 of 18. He's at least positive. And then Dave's. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it, Dave. All right, leave me alone. All right, let's get into the pick'ems for this week. It's another great lineup. Some tough ones here again. Here we go again. I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna take an easy one here. See, I forgot to change the date in the top left. I'm just gonna get it out of the way. I forgot to do that. Y'all know where I'm going with this. This was the only one that I got right last week. Going with the Horns. Fuck the Sooners. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I'm picking Texas too.
Oh, that was quick.
Ooh. What's the line? 6.5?
Yep. 6.5. Boog would be proud of me.
I'm gonna go OU. I think OU's gonna beat them.
After all this shit you talk about OU and how much you hate them as a state, you're gonna go for OU.
He's trying to win.
I think they're.
Yeah, Dom was right. Your beard's fake. All right, no, Muddy, you're wrong. You said Kansas was gonna be the greatest thing since sliced bread. I followed you. I picked Kansas last week. I picked Kansas to cover. I didn't even get them right because I listened to Muddy. Muddy, you're dead to me. All right, LSU versus Mizzou, 5-0. I like Mizzou here. They're kind of doing some nice things. I think 5.5. I think LSU's gonna be pissed about that loss, but I who knows anymore? You know,
the Mizzou Aggies. Oh, okay. So it's Missouri, and I'm picking LSU. LSU's defense is very, very terrible, but I think they're going to have enough offense to beat Missouri.
And let's see, the Tigers are favored by 6.5. Is that right?
No, Mizzou is. Or LSU. Oh, LSU Tigers. Yeah, but they're both Tigers. That was a bad question. LSU's favored.
Maybe we should put Missouri on the schedule since we're owning everything that's a Tiger. Yeah, I think. I'll go with LSU. I think their defense sucks, but I think that they'll have enough offense to take that.
Bucks or Terps?
-20. Man, Ohio State's been like, they'll have a good offensive game and then they won't score any points. That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with the Buckeyes, -20.
Steve,
that is hard to.
The Phillies just hit a grand slam.
Maryland's undefeated, but I just don't know if they're undefeated because they haven't played anybody worth a shit. I'll go with Maryland. I still think Ohio State's got some ups and downs. I'll go Maryland.
I'm taking the Terps too. Taking the Terps too. Steve, Bama or Aggies?
Oh boy, Bama.
I said on our Sunday show that Bama is scary right now. In a place where college football seems to be wide open, I always feel like we say that every so often, and then all of a sudden Bama comes out of nowhere and just swallows everybody whole because nobody's watching them. They look to be the Bama of old at Mississippi State. The run game is back. They don't care who's playing quarterback. Saban's cussing every person out left and right, and Miss Terry said you need to get on them, and Miss Terry, they did. Roll Tide, boys.
Oof.
Yeah, I would pick A&M if the spread was a lot bigger, but I got to go with Bama.
Yeah, that's a pick 'em, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, big one here. Got the Dogs versus Tucky. Stevie? Tuffy.
Kentucky.
14.5.
Kentucky.
You're taking the
I think
Pussycats?
Kentucky wins outright. I think Kentucky wins that game outright. Not by a lot. I think maybe like a field goal, maybe a point. But I'm gonna take Kentucky and the points for sure.
Yeah, this one's a hard one because Kentucky has a pretty damn good defense. They're obviously now apparently they can run the ball. But their quarterback is what's got me like on the fence. Their quarterback is because you're giving them 15. Brock Bowers is basically all Georgia's offense this year, and without him, they don't have an offense. I think I'll go with Holly, pick Kentucky.
This is a tough one here. I think Kentucky feels like because of what we saw last week, we want to pick Kentucky because we just want to feel justified. I know Georgia hasn't looked the best. They haven't covered a spread since 1945. It feels like they're at home. I think there was a big win against Auburn, a team that played them lights out. Kentucky's going to have this little bit of an ego going into this game. They're a one-trick pony. Devin Leary ain't shit. I don't see Georgia allowing a 300-yard rushing game. And when you got a quarterback that throws 9 for 20 with 96 yards, who had 5 interceptions headed into that Florida game, you got a much better team out there in Georgia. I think this is going to be their first stamp of like, hey, put some respect on our name. Let's go get it.
Makes sense. I like it.
Got Louisville and Notre Dame here. Louisville kind of sneaky good. They could pull a little one here off 1-2. I think Notre Dame, big win against Duke, where at a chance where they could have fell off and fallen back to back and really put their hopes and dreams of a championship season out of it. I think that was a big win for them on the road. They are a really good football team. I still think they were better than Ohio State, like Lou Holtz said, but Ohio State, found a way to win, and kudos to them. But I like Notre Dame here -6.
I gotta make up some ground. I'll go ahead and pick Louisville, and if I don't, then I don't make up ground.
I'm gonna go with Notre Dame. They're battle tested. They just played Ohio State. They went to Duke. Duke gave them a hell of a game. They took everything they had to win that. So I think at this point, man, Notre Dame has gone up against a couple of good teams that they were able to answer. So I think Louisville might be a little bit overmatched here. I'm going to go with Notre Dame.
Davey?
Already picked Louisville.
UCLA or Washington State? Come on.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the same one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Washington State, UCLA. I'll go with UCLA. It's a close spread. Almost.
-3.5. Stevie?
It's in California. It's in UCLA Stadium. I don't know, man. I actually like Washington State this year. I'm going to go with Washington State.
I am as well too. I think them being favored is a little much. I think they're kind of high on UCLA and they shouldn't be. I like the state there as well too. Again, boys, go to mybookie.ag. Use the code HIGHTOP when depositing your funds. Get a little extra cheddar on top of your deposit there. A little extra gift here and there. Tell them we sent it. Tell them we love you. Look, come be degenerates with all of us, okay? We enjoy losing money. It's kind of the new thing that we do around here. Well, before we close out the show, we've got to do, of course, the best day of the week, which is Tweets of the Week. Dave?
Tweets of the Week. Tweets of the Week.
Are you going to do your ball stuff, or what are we doing here?
Yes, today's show is brought to you today by Manscaped, who has taken a step up from Balloween to bring your face the cleanest shave it's ever seen. So this season, no need to toil and trouble. Manscaped's all-new Handyman is the best way to get rid of that stubble. Featuring the compact design, next-gen skin-safe technology, the Handyman was designed to give you the smooth finish without the mess of a traditional shave. Get the sweetest treat this Halloween by going to manscaped.com and use promo code HIGHTOP20 to save 20%, plus get free shipping. Manscaped, take care of your balls, the best in men's grooming.
Good stuff.
Let's
there.
go.
First one. This was a last-minute submission here. Came in our Discord. Hot off the press, boys. This was a banger, to say the least. Hold on. Gotta pull it over. Sorry. First day on the job.
First day in the job.
Hayes Fawcett, and this is kind of actually breaking news, too, at the same time. Dang, the NCAA just banned photo shoots on unofficial visit for recruits. I'm in shambles. They did it over Florida, right, JK? Because obviously, for those that aren't keeping up with it, anytime a recruit commits somewhere, it's always over Florida. Just happens to be. So this was well done. But this is kind of crazy, though.
I remember the time that Hayes had posted that there was one kid that picked LSU over Florida, and we never even offered the kid whatsoever. He had no offer from Florida.
Sounds about right.
Unreal. But that one's gold. Dude, these tweets, bro, cheesing me out, bro. I'm pulling them up now. Oh, these are absolute gold. All right, let's just start ripping through these things.
You gotta do the offensive line one. That one was hilarious. The one with the video.
You sent me like 16, Dave.
Of course.
Oh yeah, this is gold. All right. I got it. All right, that was all of them. Okay. All right, so I'll do that one. I'll do that one now then. How about that?
It's pretty funny.
It was gold. So the tweet is Florida's O-line versus Kentucky today, and it's a big security guard at the Ole Miss game. Trying to keep everybody from rushing the field, and everybody just
can't get a hand on anybody.
Oh, dude, just chucks the chick.
He didn't knock down any dudes or touch them, but he just completely levels the girl.
Yeah, 90 pound. Look, bam, elbow. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you attempting here? Like, they're look at the guy behind him flicking him off. Hold on, look at the cat behind him just flicking him off. So this guy with the hat, backward hat, comes back. Look, he's ready to fight him. Oh my goodness, that was gold. All right, then we got this is bad. Grandma's wearing a Kentucky hat. Says we used to be Kentucky every single year. So, little girl, sure, Grandma, let's get you to bed. This is
Blue
bad,
orange,
boys.
This
is bad. And then we got bro. This is son, bro.
That.
Yeah, bro. Pops is delivering the jugular here. Says, fuck Sam Pittman, fat ass. If I ever got to fake, what is it? If I ever go to take Hamilton K, we'll sink his effing boat. I will sink his boat. What's even crazier is Pop is rocking this on Snapchat.
I was about to say, don't say anything, man. You don't want to get banned off YouTube. It may be bad.
What do you think I was gonna say?
Well, I don't know. I forgot what the text message said, but it was pretty bad.
Oh yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. This is wild to me. This thing, like, this is crazy. So last night after Tennessee's win, Javonte Spraggins, I believe, had his stuffed toy chicken stolen by South Carolina DB Nick. I'm not even gonna pronounce that. This morning, Knoxville PD has filed charges on Nick for theft over $500. A warrant for his arrest has also been issued. And in this video is the DB, I'm assuming holding said chicken.
Yeah, he's got the chicken in his hand.
You give me that chicken back, baby.
Look at him. Look at him. He still has it.
Yeah, he took it to the locker room. He kept it.
I just feel like the Tennessee guy didn't really even try to get it back. Look at him.
It'd be like if somebody stole the Chucky doll that you guys have some weird.
Oh, true.
With.
True. Bro, it was wild to me.
Yeah, he's just gonna choke the chicken.
You know, honestly, the best part about this is the comment. Richard is the only true investigative journalist left.
What idiot spent $500 on that stupid chicken? Like,
oh, this is too soon, bro.
They tagged me in it. I had to.
At High Top Dave, Ray Davis. This guy just honestly, where this photo come from is just the string of photos that came from this photo shoot. Is it AI? It's got to be AI, right?
I'm assuming.
I don't know. There's other pictures of him literally just having a meal, like he's eating
eating pizzas with these Gators. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, tweets of the week be getting a little ramblish. Hey, you know what's funny? I'm glad you brought this up. DJ Reed just got elite cardio here. This video, I actually referred to it when I was talking with Stephen Harris because this player just goes flying by Patrick Mahomes. Look, but what I said was, at least he went after him. You know what I mean? At least he made the attempt here, and he slowed him down.
Out of his rhythm.
He did. He slowed, and this is what we were talking about with Kimber of not attacking him and said, "Look, you may miss the play, but at least disrupt it." And he did that. Like we're kind of giving him shit, but look, he might be getting a throw off here. No, sir, you're not.
It wasn't in the script.
Look at that, and they disrupted it. So like everyone's kind of giving him shit, but I love it. North and South, baby, go get something.
The problem is, if he would have hit him, even if he would have hit him clean at full speed like that, the guy, it would have been a complete. Like there'd have been fines, there'd have been flags.
Oh yeah.
Even if it was a clean hit, going that fast and hit Patrick Mahomes, even clean, they would have freaked out.
Dave, you got to explain this to somebody.
Oh yeah, that was a guy that he basically posted a score between Miami and Florida where Miami beat them 41-16 back in 2001. So I asked him if he loaded that up on Windows 95.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Look, they're celebrating their 22nd anniversary of the game. You know, they've got to look for something to hang their hat on. It's been a while for Miami to point to anything that would resemble success.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, breaking news: Vandy's main quarterback is out. Is that true? Do we got a chance here, boys?
So the backup's going to look like Joe Montana.
Harlan says we love Holly. Fuck you, Harlan.
Love you, Holly. What's up, babe?
Oh yeah, dude. Did you see the knee injury for that Tennessee player?
No.
McCoy?
No. No, that was his ankle. It was his ankle.
No.
Brew McCoy?
Brew McCoy?
I think so.
Yeah, he fractured his ankle.
That's like one of their best.
Bro, the whole knee turns, bro. This is pretty gruesome. This is if I can find the video. No, bro, it's not the ankle, bro. I know it says ankle injury, but the whole it was like everything, dude. Like it was the knee was like twisted.
That's
I don't think
like the Willis McGahee in the national championship. Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna be able to find it, to be honest with you.
You know, like some people have had really bad injuries like that, and they still come back fine. And Nick Chubb had one, I think, against Tennessee a while back. And
yeah, look. So this photo kind of shows a little bit. Oh, here's a play.
Are you trying to make people sick in the chat?
It's okay.
Oof.
Bro.
Oh, dude. Oh, God, man.
See what I mean? It's not pretty.
It's not the ankle, bro. It's the knee, bro. Look.
Yeah, that's bad.
See it get twisted?
That sucks, man.
Oh,
like
the kneecap's like, ugh.
Dude, that is. Could you imagine? That's a lot of cartilage and everything. Like, dude, I hope he winds up fine.
Yeah,
that looks brutal.
Dude. That shit sucks.
That's horrible. I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah, that's no fun at all. Well, boy, I think it was a pretty good show. Yeah.
Yeah, we're rolling here.
We got through it. We figured it out. We're new here, but I think we did a pretty damn good job. Steve's got ugly clothing apparel. Can't get this guy a mic worth $15, but one step at a time. We had no connectivity issues today.
This whole time I did not notice his shirt. I had no clue what that was until now. That's hilarious.
Don't acknowledge it. Braves are in the playoffs. Go Braves. Hopefully, we can get some positive things on. I got all Braves gear on. We're full sending that right now, boys. But look, best day of the week as always. Appreciate you guys' support. Even though it's been a rough one, you guys still tuning in, hanging out, showing us some love. So I always appreciate that and good seeing you guys. You guys got anything for us before we go? Anything you want to get off your chest while we're here? Little therapy sesh. We good?
No, not really, man. Had a good week. We're finally celebrating my birthday this weekend. We celebrated a little bit, but everybody's been out of town, so celebrating.
Well, that's right. Happy belated birthday. Hey, what are you, like 42 now?
Yeah, like 92, something like that.
On Twitter, you're 50. Bro. We were Dave and I were battling we were battling this week on Twitter. We were going at it.
Yeah,
Disney.
well, when you mute somebody and they just keep consistently tagging you, that just means they like you, which is really horrible.
True.
Yeah.
We Disney Gators again. Look, it's coming back around. It's coming back around. Let's go Phillies. You looking? I'll ban your ass, Muddy. That's disgusting.
Oh boy.
Great show, Ed. Thank you, Ed. Good seeing you, bud. Love you guys as always. Well, look, man. Let's have a good weekend. Just so for you guys know, Saturday, 9:30, our High Top Game Day show has been a real banger. It's been a real treat. We've had an absolute blast. Got an Oklahoma. Jason will be on there, so it should get juicy. Him and I talk a lot of shit. I've been trolling him a lot because obviously horns up, and then obviously we'll have our Sunday recap show, and then Sunday night we're having our recap Week 6 College Game Day show. So you guys be good. Tune in. Love you. Have a great rest of your week, and until next time. I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Ollie.
And I just support Jimmy.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Nico says joining late. Nico, you're more than late. Shit's over. Smash the like button, bastards.
I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'm tied up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been